Bir tanem söyle canım, ne dilersen dile benden. İstersen dost olalım göklerdeki turnalarla. İstersen evlenelim davullarla zurnalarla. İstersen çınlatalım dört bir yanı şarkılarla.
Okay, I need to explain what you just saw. The song is called Söyle Canım, meaning Tell Me My Heart, taking off EROL EVGIN's 1991 album EROL EVGIN ile yeniden. Söyle Canım is written by Çiğdem Talu and Melih Kibar, a legendary songwriting duo that I'm sure we'll talk about later at some point. EVGIN himself is a legendary figure in Turkish popular music history with unforgettable hits like İşte Öyle Bir Şey and Bir De Bana Sor or Sevdan Olmasa sprinkled across his half-centenarian music career. The reason we're talking about Söyle Canım here today is not the career of EROL EVGIN though, it's the three videos that came before his. Respectively, you've seen videos of Galatasaray, Fenerbahçe and Beşiktaş fans, and what they're doing is sometimes translated in English as singing or chanting. Both of these words describe an action that can exist without any relation to a football field. Yet in Turkish, the word used to describe what these fans are doing is uniquely situational. It's called making tezahürat. Tezahürat is a tricky word. It's an Arabic loanword based on the sixth form of the root zehare. Its exact meaning, as is always the case with Arabic, is open to interpretation, but the most likely translation would be an exhibit, a display. So they're putting on a show. Football is huge in Turkey. In fact, one could easily argue that football is the biggest cultural force in Turkey. People identify with the teams they support, and that identification is a lifetime subscription many don't ever opt out. The general idea is that you support the team your father does, and you don't ever turn your back to it. You're not there to follow the sport. Entertainment doesn't come into it. This is a tribe, and this is a tribal exhibit. This explanation is of course nothing new. Even without a deep understanding of the cultures involved, a rudimentary following of world football will make it abundantly clear that many different parts of the world, in particular Balkan, Mediterranean and Latin American countries, also show similar tendencies in their relationship with football. Football is a simple, low-scoring game played on a large pitch. Its rules are easy to follow and its joy involves long hours of foreplay. These make it a perfect candidate for emotional investment. In geographies where outward expression of passion is the norm, this emotional investment usually turns into loud singing. Nothing at all interesting in why it happens. I am, however, absolutely fascinated with how it happens in Turkey. Just look at the example we've started with here. I'll pull up the lyrics again. Look at them. This is clearly a love song written from the perspective of a smitten lover ready to do anything for their partner. It's not encouragement. It's not intimidation. No, it's adulation. Pop songs make their way into sports arenas all the time, no big deal, but they usually have lyrics like "We will rock you" or "I'm gonna fight 'em all," not "Ask whatever you want of me." And however peculiar picking a love song for conversion to a tezahürat is, it's even weirder to write an original tezahürat that reads like a love song. Take a look and take a listen. This tezahürat, originated and sung by Beşiktaş fans, is commonly called "Sen benim her gece efkarım," meaning "you, my melancholy every night." The poetic image it's painting is so romantic, Lord Byron would posthumously approve. There's a guy sitting by himself at night, crying while holding a cigarette, feeling this great big fire in his heart and swearing to the stars that his love for Beşiktaş would never die. Why? Who had challenged this love? Is Beşiktaş in distress? Did they take Beşiktaş away from this man? What's the reason for the melancholy? And what's melancholy doing in a football game anyway? Well, let's dig deeper. This is from İnönü. This stadium in the form you're looking at right now doesn't exist. It was torn down in 2013 and this was the last game Beşiktaş ever played in it. The opposition is the Ankara outfit Gençler Birliği. Beşiktaş has lost its title hopes weeks ago and the fans are singing Aldırma Kartal Aldırma, a tezahürat that's based on the 1970s Edip Akbayram hit Aldırma Gönül, which was adapted from a poem written by the legendary Sabahattin Ali. Aldırma Gönül means pay no mind my heart, which Ali wrote to soothe his soul during imprisonment, and Beşiktaş fans adapted it as Aldırma Kartal, or pay no mind Eagle, so that it could be sung after humiliating defeats like the one they suffered in 2007 against Liverpool. They sung it in the first game the team played back home after the 8-0 scoreline. Now it's 2013. Beşiktaş fans are saying goodbye to their memories in the stadium, and here's how it's gonna go down. Right now, we're looking at the stadium from the perspective of the stand kapalı, meaning covered. It's where you're most likely to run into members of Çarşı, the legendary ultra group that will be tried by the government for its role in the Gezi protests a few months later from the time of this video's recording. Çarşı sits at kapalı, and they are the ones that usually start the tezahürat. The other stands look to them for lead. Here's what's gonna happen in a few seconds. Kapalı is gonna make a call for açık, the uncovered stand to the right. Now they will hail them to see if they heard the call. Once they hail back, they'll begin a call and response. I don't know if you can feel the same power that I do surging through when I watch this video. It's perhaps I've been in this stadium in many moments like this, singing this very tezahürat, but I'm willing to bet that it's not particular to me. Now they're hailing Eski Açık, the other uncovered stand. Oh, hold on. There's a controversial call on the pitch. Eski Açık didn't hear the hail, they're not gonna respond. See? Don't worry though, they'll hail again. There we go, back on track. And now they're going to hail numaralı last, called that way because the seats there used to be the only ones numbered. Those are the expensive seats. So this, in turn, is the lower classes of Istanbul singing with the Istanbul elite, consoling a football team while addressing it as if it was a lover. Nothing can do this in Turkey. Nothing else has this much power. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. It doesn't matter where you come from and how you got here. When you're arm in arm with other fans yelling tezahürats across a football stadium, you're stripped down to your essentials. We're all singing animals in the end, and even if you don't like football as a sport, you can agree that coming together in large numbers to carry the same tune is usually something that's inspiring for every one of us, because it's essentially what this is. Just look, nobody's watching the game. This is just 10,000 people singing passionately at another group of 10,000 from a distance about 40 meters, while 10,000 other people wait for their turn to join in. So if this is a music-induced collectivization of consciousness, in other words, a spiritual, then this might very well be the most honest and real you'll ever catch a Turkish person being. And if that's the case, then the melancholy is telling. If that's the case, melancholy might be the default state of Turkish being. Would explain a lot anyway. And I'm not just talking about EROL EVGIN. But that's a topic for another time. Until then, take care.